dopamine, desire, and engineered consumption. The intricate relationship between human behavior, habit formation, and the food industry reveals fascinating insights into the nature of desire and consumption in our modern world. At the heart of this relationship lies the powerful influence of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in motivation, reward, and habit formation. The food science industry has harnessed our biological predispositions to create products that are irresistibly attractive to consumers. By manipulating factors such as texture, flavor, and sensory experience, food scientists have developed techniques to make processed foods exceptionally appealing. The concept of dynamic contrast in food, the combination of different sensations, like crunchiness and creaminess, keeps our brains engaged and interested, encouraging continued consumption beyond the point of satiety. This optimization extends to finding the perfect bliss point, a precise balance of salt, sugar, and fat that maximizes palatability and appeal. The result is a category of hyperpalatable foods that effectively hijack our reward systems, leading to overconsumption and potentially contributing to issues like obesity and related health problems. The power of these engineered foods lies in their ability to trigger dopamine release in our brains. Dopamine, once thought to be primarily associated with pleasure, is now understood to play a complex role in motivation, learning, and anticipation of rewards. Crucially, dopamine is released not just when we experience pleasure, but also when we anticipate it. This anticipatory aspect is key to understanding why certain habits, including those related to food consumption, can become so deeply ingrained and difficult to break. The dopamine-driven feedback loop that underlies habit formation extends far beyond food. In our modern society, we are surrounded by highly engineered versions of reality that are more attractive and stimulating than anything our ancestors encountered. From carefully crafted advertisements to the instant gratification of social media likes, these supernormal stimuli exploit our natural inclinations and drive us toward excessive behaviors in shopping, social media use, and various forms of entertainment. The trend toward more concentrated rewards and more enticing stimuli is likely to continue, presenting ever greater challenges to our ability to regulate our behavior and make healthy choices. Junk food, hard liquor, and video games are all examples of how natural rewards have been concentrated and amplified in ways that make them particularly hard to resist. Understanding the role of dopamine in craving and habit formation provides valuable insights for those seeking to change their behavior. The key realization is that it's the anticipation of reward, not necessarily the reward itself, that drives much of our behavior. This explains why the excitement of planning a vacation can sometimes exceed the enjoyment of the trip itself, or why the anticipation of a special event can be more thrilling than the event. This knowledge can be leveraged to make positive habits more attractive, and thus more likely to stick. By increasing the anticipation of rewards associated with beneficial behaviors, we can harness the power of our dopamine system to work in our favor. Similarly, understanding the role of environmental cues in triggering cravings can help us design our surroundings to support our goals rather than undermine them. The challenge we face is significant. Our brains evolved in an environment of scarcity, but are now confronted with abundance and hyperstimulation at every turn. The very mechanisms that once ensured our survival, like the drive to consume calorie-dense foods, can now lead us astray in a world of plenty. However, by understanding these mechanisms, we gain the power to make informed choices and design strategies to align our behavior with our long-term goals and values. As we navigate this landscape of engineered experiences and supernormal stimuli, it's crucial to maintain awareness of how our environments and choices shape our habits. By consciously designing our surroundings and routines to support positive behaviors, we can work with our dopamine systems rather than against them. This might involve creating rewarding rituals around healthy activities, making beneficial habits more immediately gratifying, structuring our environments to minimize exposure to tempting cues. Moreover, this understanding calls for a broader societal conversation about the ethics of designing products and experiences that exploit our psychological vulnerabilities. As our ability to create irresistible stimuli grows, so too does our responsibility to consider the long-term impacts on individual and public health. In conclusion, the interplay between our ancient reward systems and our modern engineered environment presents both challenges and opportunities. By deepening our understanding of the dopamine-driven processes underlying habit formation and craving, we equip ourselves with powerful tools for personal growth and societal progress. The key lies in harnessing these insights to create environments and habits that support our well-being, while remaining mindful of the potent forces shaping our desires and behaviors in the modern world. The engineered allure of modern consumption. In our modern world, we find ourselves surrounded by an array of products and experiences meticulously designed to captivate our attention and spark our desires. At the forefront of this phenomenon is the food industry, where science and consumer psychology intersect to create irresistible edibles that keep us coming back for more. But this is just the tip of the iceberg in a society increasingly shaped by supernormal stimuli and engineered experiences that exploit our deepest biological drives. The food science industry has elevated the creation of appealing products to an art form, investing millions in research to perfect every aspect of the eating experience. From the satisfying crunch of a potato chip to the fizz of a soda, no detail is too small to escape scrutiny. The concept of oral sensation, how a food feels in your mouth, has become a key focus, with entire departments dedicated to optimizing this sensory experience. Consider the humble French fry, a seemingly simple food that embodies this approach. Its appeal lies in the contrast between its crispy exterior and soft interior, a combination that lights up our pleasure centers with each bite. This principle of dynamic contrast is a powerful tool in the food scientist's arsenal, creating products that offer a variety of sensations in a single item. The gooey cheese atop a crisp pizza crust or the interplay between a crunchy cookie and its creamy filling are prime examples of the strategy in action. These techniques serve a singular purpose: to keep us engaged and eating long past the point where we might normally feel satisfied. Natural, unprocessed foods tend to become less appealing as we consume them, a phenomenon known as sensory-specific satiety. Your brain gradually loses interest in the repetitive sensations, signaling that it's time to stop eating. However, foods high in dynamic contrast circumvent this natural mechanism, maintaining novelty and interest bite after bite. The ultimate goal of this scientific approach to food design is to find the bliss point, that perfect balance of salt, sugar, and fat that makes a product irresistible to the human palate. This combination triggers a powerful response in our brains, overriding natural satiety signals and encouraging overconsumption. The result is a category of hyperpalatable foods that are incredibly attractive to our reward systems, often leading to overeating and associated health issues. But the implications of this approach extend far beyond the realm of nutrition. The principle at work here, making something more attractive to increase the likelihood of repeated engagement, is a fundamental aspect of habit formation. In essence, the food industry has become adept at creating habit-forming products by exploiting our natural tendencies and biological drives. This phenomenon is not limited to food. Our modern society is replete with examples of engineered experiences designed to be more appealing than anything our ancestors encountered. Retail stores use mannequins with exaggerated features to sell clothing, tapping into our instinctive responses to certain body shapes. Social media platforms deliver rapid-fire positive reinforcement, providing more likes and praise in minutes than we might receive in days of real-world interaction. The online entertainment, from pornography to video games, offers hyper-stimulating content at a pace impossible to replicate in real life. These are all examples of supernormal stimuli, artificial constructs that exaggerate the features we're naturally attracted to, eliciting a stronger response than we would have to natural stimuli. Our instincts, honed over millennia of evolution, are ill-equipped to handle these intensified versions of reality. As a result, we often find ourselves drawn into excessive behaviors, whether overeating, compulsive shopping, social media addiction, or other habits detrimental to our well-being. The trend toward more concentrated rewards and more enticing stimuli shows no signs of slowing down. If anything, history suggests that future opportunities for gratification will be even more attractive than those available today. Final thoughts. The science behind habit formation, dopamine-driven behavior, and engineered consumption reveals a critical truth. Our environment shapes our actions far more than we realize. By recognizing the power of supernormal stimuli and designing our lives to minimize their negative influence, we can reclaim control over our habits and build a healthier, more intentional existence. The challenge is immense, but so is the opportunity. Armed with this knowledge, we can craft environments that align with our deepest values, not just our basest instincts. We can see this pattern in the evolution of various products and experiences. Junk food offers a more concentrated form of calories than natural foods. Hard liquor provides a more potent dose of alcohol than beer. Video games present a more immersive and stimulating form of play than traditional board games. This intensification of experience poses a significant challenge to our ability to regulate our behavior and make healthy choices. We find ourselves equipped with brains that evolved in an environment of scarcity, now faced with abundance and hyperstimulation at every turn. The very mechanisms that once ensured our survival, like the drive to consume calorie-dense foods when available, can now lead us astray in a world of plenty. To understand why these engineered experiences are so powerful, we need to delve into the neuroscience of habit formation and craving. At the heart of this process is dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in motivation, reward, and learning. For many years, scientists believed that dopamine was primarily associated with pleasure. However, more recent research has revealed that its role is far more complex and central to a wide range of neurological processes. Dopamine is involved not just in experiencing pleasure, but in motivation, learning, memory, punishment, aversion, and even voluntary movement. The key insight when it comes to habit formation is that dopamine is released not only when we experience a reward, but also when we anticipate one. This anticipatory aspect of dopamine release is crucial to understanding why certain behaviors become habitual and why breaking bad habits can be so challenging. Experiments with animals have provided striking demonstrations of dopamine's power. When researchers blocked dopamine release in rats, the animals lost all motivation, refusing to eat, drink, or engage in any goal-directed behavior. They quite literally lost the will to live. Conversely, when scientists flooded the reward centers of animal brains with dopamine, the subjects engaged in repetitive behaviors at an astonishing rate, such as mice poking their noses into a box hundreds of times per hour in pursuit of a dopamine hit. Human behavior shows similar patterns, albeit in more complex forms. Gambling addicts experience a surge of dopamine just before placing a bet, not after winning. Cocaine users get a dopamine spike at the sight of the drug before actually consuming it. This anticipatory release of dopamine is what drives us to action, creating the motivation to pursue rewards. This understanding of dopamine's role helps explain why the anticipation of an experience can often be more enjoyable than the experience itself. The excitement of planning a vacation or looking forward to a special event can surpass the actual pleasure of the moment when it arrives. Scientists describe this as the difference between wanting and liking, two related but distinct processes in the brain. The implications of this dopamine-driven feedback loop are profound for our understanding of habit formation and behavior change. Every highly habit-forming behavior, from drug use to social media browsing, is associated with elevated levels of dopamine. Even our most basic habitual behaviors, like eating, drinking, and social interaction, operate on this same principle. Recognizing the power of anticipation in driving behavior provides valuable insights for those seeking to change their habits or cultivate new ones. Rather than relying solely on willpower to resist temptation, we can focus on manipulating our environment and routines to make desirable behaviors more attractive and undesirable ones less so. For instance, if we want to establish a habit of regular exercise, we might focus on creating positive anticipation around the activity. This could involve planning enjoyable routes for runs, choosing workout music that excites us, or rewarding ourselves with a pleasant post-workout ritual. By associating the anticipation of exercise with positive feelings, we can harness our dopamine system to reinforce the habit. Conversely, to break a bad habit, we might focus on reducing the anticipatory pleasure associated with it. This could involve removing cues from our environment that trigger cravings or consciously focusing on the negative consequences of the behavior rather than its short-term rewards. However, it's important to recognize that we're not just passive recipients of our environment's influences. We have the power to consciously design our surroundings and routines in ways that support our goals. This might involve creating physical spaces that encourage productive behaviors, carefully curating our digital environments to minimize exposure to addictive content, or structuring our daily schedules to prioritize activities that align with our long-term aspirations. Moreover, understanding the role of dopamine and anticipation in driving behavior can help us develop more compassion for ourselves and others when it comes to struggling with bad habits or addictions. Rather than viewing these challenges as simple matters of willpower or moral failing, we can recognize them as the result of powerful neurological processes shaped by both our biology and our environment. This perspective also raises important questions about the ethics of designing products and experiences that exploit these psychological vulnerabilities. As our ability to create irresistible stimuli grows, so too does our responsibility to consider the long-term impacts on individual and public health. There's a need for broader societal conversations about how we can balance innovation and consumer appeal with ethical considerations and public well-being. Conclusion: the intricate dance between our ancient reward systems and our modern engineered environment presents both challenges and opportunities. By deepening our understanding of the dopamine-driven processes underlying habit formation and craving, we equip ourselves with powerful tools for personal growth and societal progress. The key lies in harnessing these insights to create environments and habits that support our well-being, while remaining mindful of the potent forces shaping our desires and behaviors in the modern world. As we navigate this landscape of supernormal stimuli and carefully crafted experiences, maintaining awareness of how our choices and surroundings influence our habits becomes crucial. By consciously designing our environments and routines to support positive behaviors, we can work with our dopamine systems rather than against them. This might involve creating rewarding rituals around healthy activities, finding ways to make beneficial habits more immediately gratifying, or structuring our surroundings to minimize exposure to tempting cues. Ultimately, the goal is not to eliminate all sources of pleasure or to live in denial of our natural drives. Rather, it's to create a balance where we can enjoy the fruits of human ingenuity and progress while maintaining control over our behaviors and staying true to our deeper values and aspirations. By understanding the science behind habit formation and applying these insights thoughtfully, we can cultivate lives rich in meaningful experiences and sustainable pleasures, rather than being driven by the fleeting highs of engineered stimuli. In doing so, we reclaim our agency in a world increasingly designed to push our buttons, charting a course toward greater well-being and fulfillment. The power of anticipation in habit formation. The intricate dance between our brains and behavior reveals fascinating insights into the nature of habit formation and the power of anticipation. At the heart of this process lies dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a far more complex role than simply signaling pleasure. Understanding how dopamine functions in our brains can provide valuable tools for shaping our habits and improving our lives. When we first encounter a rewarding experience, our brains release dopamine as we enjoy the novel pleasure. However, as we repeat this experience, our clever brains begin to shift the timing of the dopamine release. Instead of spiking when we receive the reward, dopamine now surges in anticipation, immediately after we recognize a cue associated with the pleasurable experience. This shift is the key to habit formation, as it creates a feeling of desire and a craving to take action whenever we encounter the cue. This anticipatory dopamine release explains why the excitement of looking forward to a vacation can sometimes exceed the enjoyment of the trip itself, or why the build-up to a special event often feels more thrilling than the actual moment. Our brains are wired to motivate us through anticipation, pushing us to pursue rewards based on the expectation of pleasure rather than the pleasure itself. Interestingly, once a habit is firmly established, dopamine no longer increases when we experience the expected reward. However, if we encounter a cue and anticipate a reward that doesn't materialize, dopamine levels drop sharply, leading to feelings of disappointment and frustration. This sensitivity to prediction errors helps refine our habits over time, reinforcing behaviors that reliably lead to rewards and discouraging those that don't. The power of anticipation in driving behavior becomes even more apparent when we consider the neural real estate devoted to wanting versus liking. Our brains have significantly more circuitry allocated for desiring rewards than for enjoying them. The wanting centers of the brain are expansive, including regions like the nucleus accumbens, ventral tegmental area, and portions of the prefrontal cortex. In contrast, the liking centers are much smaller, consisting of scattered hedonic hotspots throughout the brain. This disproportionate allocation of neural resources to wanting over liking underscores the crucial role that desire and anticipation play in motivating our actions. It's not the fleeting moment of pleasure that drives us, but the persistent craving that precedes it. This insight has profound implications for how we approach habit formation and behavior change. Recognizing the power of anticipation, we can employ strategies to make our desired habits more attractive and thus more likely to stick. One such approach is temptation bundling, a clever technique that links an action we want to do with one we need to do. By pairing a necessary but unappealing task with a highly desirable activity, we can leverage our brain's reward system to motivate positive behavior. Consider the story of Ronan Byrne, an engineering student who hacked his stationary bike to only allow Netflix to play while he was pedaling at a certain speed. By bundling the enjoyment of watching his favorite shows with the physical activity he knew he should be doing, Byrne created a powerful incentive for exercise. This ingenious solution not only made his workout more appealing, but also added an element of immediate reward to an otherwise challenging task. Businesses often employ similar strategies on a larger scale. The American Broadcasting Company, ABC, masterfully used temptation bundling in promoting their Thursday night television lineup. By encouraging viewers to pair watching their shows with enjoyable activities like drinking wine and eating popcorn, ABC associated their programming with relaxation and indulgence. Over time, this association strengthened, making the habit of tuning in on Thursday nights more attractive to viewers. The effectiveness of temptation bundling is rooted in a psychological principle known as the Premack principle, which states that more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. In other words, by linking a desired activity, like watching TV, with a less appealing but necessary task like exercising, we can condition ourselves to engage in the less enjoyable activity more consistently. This principle can be applied to a wide range of habits. For instance, someone might allow themselves to read gossip magazines only while at the gym or permit themselves to get a pedicure only while catching up on work emails. The key is to identify activities you genuinely enjoy and use them as rewards for completing necessary but less appealing tasks. To maximize the effectiveness of temptation bundling, it can be combined with habit stacking, another powerful behavior change strategy. Habit stacking involves linking a new habit you want to form with an existing habit you already perform consistently. By creating a formula that pairs a current habit with a needed habit followed by a wanted habit, you can create a chain of behaviors that reinforces positive change. For example, someone trying to cultivate gratitude and stay informed might adopt the following routine. 1. After I get my morning coffee, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. 2. After I express gratitude, I will read the news. This sequence links an existing habit, getting coffee, with a desired new habit, practicing gratitude, and a rewarding activity, reading the news. The power of this approach lies in its ability to transform necessary but unappealing tasks into gateways to enjoyable activities. Over time, the anticipation of the reward, like checking social media or watching sports highlights, can make the associated necessary task, like doing burpees or making sales calls, more appealing by association. While temptation bundling and habit stacking are powerful tools, it's important to recognize that they are part of a broader principle, making habits more attractive. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with supernormal stimuli, exaggerated versions of reality that are more appealing than anything our ancestors encountered. From junk food engineered to hit the perfect bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat to social media platforms designed to deliver constant hits of social validation, these stimuli exploit our brain's reward systems in unprecedented ways. Understanding this landscape of engineered experiences allows us to approach habit formation with greater intentionality. While we may not be able to compete with the intensity of these supernormal stimuli, we can use their principles to enhance the appeal of beneficial habits. By thoughtfully designing our environment and routines, we can create our own heightened versions of reality that make positive behaviors more attractive. For instance, we might create a specially designated comfortable space for reading to make a daily reading habit more appealing. Or we could invest in high-quality exercise equipment and create an energizing playlist to make workouts more enticing. The goal is to enhance the sensory and emotional experience associated with the habit we want to cultivate. it's crucial to remember that the power of anticipation works both ways. Just as we can use it to reinforce positive habits, unchecked anticipation of unhealthy rewards can lead to destructive behavior patterns. This is particularly evident in addictions, where the anticipation of the drug or behavior becomes all-consuming, driving compulsive actions despite negative consequences. Recognizing the role of anticipation in our behavior also highlights the importance of managing our environment. If we're constantly surrounded by cues that trigger cravings for unhealthy behaviors, we're fighting an uphill battle. By thoughtfully curating our physical and digital spaces, minimizing exposure to tempting cues and maximizing exposure to cues for positive habits, we can set ourselves up for success. Moreover, understanding the dopamine-driven nature of habit formation can help us be more compassionate with ourselves and others when struggling with bad habits or addictions. Rather than viewing these challenges as simple matters of willpower or moral failing, we can recognize them as the result of powerful neurological processes shaped by both our biology and our environment. This perspective also raises important ethical questions about the design of products and experiences that exploit these psychological vulnerabilities. As our ability to create irresistible stimuli grows, so too does our responsibility to consider the long-term impacts on individual and public health. There's a need for broader societal conversations about how we can balance innovation and consumer appeal with ethical considerations and public well-being. The science of habit formation. In conclusion, the science of habit formation reveals that desire, driven by anticipation, is the engine of behavior. By understanding how our brains process rewards and generate cravings, we can develop more effective strategies for cultivating positive habits and breaking negative ones. Techniques like temptation bundling and habit stacking allow us to work with our brain's natural tendencies rather than against them, making the process of behavior change more enjoyable and sustainable. As we navigate a world increasingly filled with supernormal stimuli and engineered experiences, maintaining awareness of how our choices and surroundings influence our habits becomes crucial. By consciously designing our environments and routines to support positive behaviors, we can harness the power of anticipation to drive personal growth and well-being. Ultimately, the goal is not to eliminate all sources of pleasure or to live in denial of our natural drives. Rather, it's to create a balance where we can enjoy the fruits of human ingenuity and progress while maintaining control over our behaviors and staying true to our deeper values and aspirations. By understanding the science behind habit formation and applying these insights thoughtfully, we can cultivate lives rich in meaningful experiences and sustainable pleasures, rather than being driven by the fleeting highs of engineered stimuli. In doing so, we reclaim our agency in a world increasingly designed to push our buttons, charting a course toward greater well-being and fulfillment. The power to shape our habits, and thus our lives, lies within our grasp. Armed with knowledge of how our brains work and tools to work with our nature rather than against it, we can embark on a journey of continuous self-improvement and personal growth. The power of environment in shaping behavior. The power of environment in shaping human behavior is a fascinating and often underappreciated aspect of personal development. This concept is powerfully illustrated by the story of the Polgar sisters, whose extraordinary achievements in chess demonstrate the profound impact that culture and upbringing can have on skill development and habit formation. Laszlo Polgar, a Hungarian educator, held a controversial belief that genius was not innate but could be cultivated through deliberate practice and the development of good habits. He was so convinced of this idea that he set out to prove it with his own children. Laszlo's experiment began even before his children were born, as he sought a wife who would be willing to participate in his unconventional parenting plan. The Polgar household became a carefully crafted environment dedicated to chess excellence. The children were homeschooled, unusual in Hungary at the time, allowing for a focused and immersive education. Chess books and pictures of famous players filled the home, creating a constant visual reminder of their goal. The sisters played against each other regularly and competed in high-level tournaments from a young age. Their parents even maintained meticulous records of every competitor the children faced, demonstrating an extraordinary level of commitment to their development. The results of this experiment were nothing short of remarkable. All three Polgar sisters, Susan, Sophia, and Judith, achieved extraordinary success in chess. Susan, the eldest, was defeating adult players within 6 months of learning the game at age 4. Sophia became a world champion by 14 and a grandmaster. Judith, the youngest, surpassed even her sister's achievements, becoming the youngest grandmaster of all time and holding the title of the world's top-ranked female chess player for an astonishing 27 years. What's particularly intriguing about the Polgar sisters' story is their perspective on their unusual upbringing. Far from viewing their childhood as oppressive or grueling, they describe it as enjoyable and engaging. They loved chess so much that they would even play in secret when they were supposed to be sleeping. This highlights a crucial aspect of habit formation and skill development. When an activity is normalized and celebrated within a culture, it becomes inherently attractive and rewarding. The influence of social environment. The Polgar sisters' experience exemplifies a broader principle of human behavior. We are profoundly influenced by our social environment. As inherently social creatures, humans have a deep-seated need to belong and fit in with their group. This instinct, which served our ancestors well in tribal societies, where isolation could mean death, continues to exert a powerful influence on our behavior today. Our earliest habits are often not chosen but imitated from those around us. We absorb the customs, expectations, and standards of our family, community, and broader society. These social norms act as invisible guides for our behavior, influencing everything from our daily routines to major life decisions. Often, we follow these norms without conscious thought or questioning, simply because they feel natural and expected within our cultural context. This tendency to conform to social norms is not inherently negative. In fact, it often doesn't feel like a burden at all because the desire to belong is so fundamental to human nature. If you grow up in an environment where a particular skill or behavior is highly valued, like chess in the Polgar household, engaging in that activity feels natural and rewarding. Similarly, if you work in a professional environment where everyone dresses in a certain way, you're likely to adopt that style without much resistance. 3 categories of social influence. The power of social influence on our habits can be broken down into 3 main categories: the close, the many, and the powerful. Each of these groups offers opportunities to make our desired habits more attractive and easier to adopt. 1. The close, the influence of close relationships on our habits is particularly strong. We tend to pick up behaviors, attitudes, and even speech patterns from those we spend the most time with. Studies have shown that obesity can spread through social networks, with a person's chances of becoming obese increasing significantly if a close friend becomes obese. The same principle applies to positive habits, with weight loss often occurring in pairs within relationships. 2. The many are broader social circles, including classmates, co-workers, and community members, also shape our perception of what's normal and attainable. If you're in an environment where many people are achieving a particular goal, like becoming an astronaut or proving their IQ, those achievements start to seem more feasible and attractive. 3. The powerful, we often emulate the behaviors of successful individuals in our field or society at large, believing that by adopting their habits, we might achieve similar success. Designing a supportive environment. Understanding these influences allows us to be more intentional about shaping our environment to support the habits we want to develop. One of the most effective strategies for building better habits is to immerse ourselves in a culture where the desired behavior is the norm. When we see others regularly engaging in the habits we want to adopt, those behaviors seem more achievable and natural. This principle can be applied across various areas of life. If you want to be more physically active, surrounding yourself with fitness enthusiasts can make regular exercise seem like a normal, expected part of daily life. If you aspire to be more creative, immersing yourself in a community of artists or innovators can normalize the habits of regular practice and experimentation. However, it's important to note that this environmental influence works both ways. Just as positive habits can be reinforced by our social surroundings, negative habits can also be perpetuated or exacerbated by the wrong environment. This is why it's crucial to be mindful of the influences we expose ourselves to and to actively seek out environments that support our goals and values. Nature versus nurture and ethical considerations. The story of the Polgar sisters also raises interesting questions about the nature versus nurture debate in talent development. While their achievements demonstrate the power of focused training and a supportive environment, it's worth considering whether they may have had some innate aptitude for chess that was then nurtured to an extraordinary degree. This nuanced view suggests that while environment and practice are crucial, individual differences in natural abilities may also play a role in ultimate achievement. Moreover, the Polgar experiment prompts us to reflect on the ethics and practicality of such intensive, specialized upbringing. While the sisters report positive feelings about their childhood, such an approach might not be suitable or desirable for every family. It's important to balance the cultivation of specific skills with the need for a well-rounded education and personal development. The digital environment. In our modern, interconnected world, the concept of our environment extends beyond our physical surroundings to include our digital spaces as well. The content we consume online, the social media networks we engage with, and the virtual communities we participate in all contribute to shaping our habits and perceptions of normal behavior. This digital influence adds another layer of complexity to the task of curating a supportive environment for positive habit formation. Self-compassion and realistic expectations. As we navigate the challenge of developing beneficial habits, it's crucial to approach the process with self-compassion and realistic expectations. Changing ingrained behaviors or adopting new ones is rarely a linear or easy process. It often involves setbacks and requires persistent effort. Understanding the powerful role that our social environment plays in this process can help us be more strategic and patient in our approach to personal growth. Furthermore, recognizing the impact of social influence on our habits can foster greater empathy and understanding for others who may be struggling with behavior change. It highlights the fact that individual willpower, while important, is just one factor in a complex web of influences that shape our actions and choices. Final thoughts. In conclusion, the story of the Polgar sisters and the broader principles of social influence in habit formation offer valuable insights for anyone seeking personal growth or behavior change. By consciously shaping our environment, both physical and social, to support our desired habits, we can make the process of change more natural and sustainable. Whether we're trying to excel in a specific skill, adopt healthier lifestyle habits, or simply become better versions of ourselves, understanding and leveraging the power of our social context can be a game changer. As we strive to improve ourselves and our communities, it's worth reflecting on how we can create cultures that normalize and celebrate positive habits. By doing so, we not only enhance our own lives but also contribute to a ripple effect of positive change in our broader social circles. The Polgar experiment, while extreme, demonstrates the remarkable potential of human beings when immersed in an environment that consistently reinforces and rewards desired behaviors. Ultimately, the key to lasting behavior change may lie not in Herculean feats of willpower, but in the thoughtful curation of our social environments and the cultivation of communities that support our aspirations. By surrounding ourselves with the right influences and normalizing the habits we wish to adopt, we can harness the natural human inclination to conform and belong in service of our personal and collective growth. We aspire to create an environment that naturally encourages and reinforces positive change. Consider the example of someone trying to improve their fitness. Joining a gym can be intimidating for beginners, as they may feel out of place among seasoned athletes. However, imagine a fitness community tailored specifically for self-proclaimed nerds or misfits. In such an environment, newcomers immediately have something in common with other members, perhaps a shared love for science fiction or video games. This common ground creates a sense of belonging, making the process of adopting new fitness habits feel more natural and less daunting. The power of belonging to a tribe cannot be overstated when it comes to sustaining motivation and embedding new habits. When we join a group that aligns with our interests and goals, our personal journey transforms into a collective one. No longer are we struggling alone. Instead, we become part of a community of like-minded individuals, all working towards similar objectives. This shift from I to we has a profound impact on our identity and commitment to change. A solitary reader becomes part of a book club, a lone musician joins a band, and an individual cyclist becomes part of a cycling group. The shared identity reinforces and strengthens our personal identity, making it more resilient in the face of challenges and setbacks. It's worth noting that maintaining connections with supportive communities, even after achieving initial goals, is crucial for long-term success. The friendships and sense of belonging fostered within these groups help cement new identities and ensure that positive habits persist over time. This is why many people who successfully lose weight or quit smoking find it beneficial to continue attending support group meetings or engaging with their communities long after reaching their primary objectives. The influence of group behavior on individual choices is a well-documented phenomenon in psychology. One classic example is the series of conformity experiments conducted by Solomon Asch in the 1950s. These experiments revealed our startling tendency to doubt our own judgment and conform to group opinion, even when the group is clearly incorrect. In Asch's experiments, participants were asked to perform a simple visual task, matching the length of a line to one of 3 comparison lines. Unbeknownst to the actual subject, the other participants were confederates of the experimenter, instructed to unanimously give wrong answers on certain trials. The results were striking. Faced with unanimous opposition, many subjects began to doubt their own perception and conform to the group's incorrect judgments. This tendency to conform to group behavior extends far beyond simple perceptual tasks. In our daily lives, we constantly look to others for cues on how to act, what to buy, where to eat, and countless other decisions. We rely on reviews and ratings to guide our choices, assuming that the wisdom of the crowd will lead us to the best options. While this strategy often serves us well, it can also lead us astray. The pressure to conform to group norms can be so strong that it overrides our individual judgment and even our own best interests. This phenomenon isn't unique to humans. Studies have shown that even chimpanzees will abandon more effective techniques in favor of less efficient methods used by their new group members simply to fit in. The desire to be accepted by our peers is a powerful motivator, often outweighing the desire to be right or to find the truth. This instinct to conform is deeply rooted in our psychology and has likely played a crucial role in our survival as a species. After all, throughout human history, going against the group could have dire consequences. However, this tendency can also hold us back from positive change, especially when our desired habits conflict with the norms of our current social group. Changing our behavior in ways that challenge the status quo requires significant effort and courage. It means swimming against the current of our culture and risking social disapproval or exclusion. On the flip side, when our desired changes align with the values and behaviors of our social group, change becomes much more attractive and achievable. This is why finding or creating a supportive community can be such a powerful catalyst for personal growth and transformation. Another crucial aspect of social influence is our tendency to imitate those we perceive as powerful or high status. Throughout history, individuals with greater power and status have typically enjoyed better access to resources, faced fewer survival challenges, and been seen as more desirable mates. As a result, we are naturally drawn to behaviors that earn us respect, approval, and admiration from others. This drive for status and recognition explains our fascination with the habits of highly successful people. We eagerly consume content about the daily routines of CEOs, the workout regimens of athletes, and the productivity hacks of top performers in various fields. By emulating these behaviors, we hope to achieve similar levels of success and recognition. Many of our daily habits are, in fact, imitations of people we admire or envy. We might adopt the communication style of a charismatic leader, the creative techniques of an artist we respect, or the financial strategies of a successful entrepreneur. This imitation isn't necessarily conscious. We often absorb and replicate behaviors subconsciously, especially when they're exhibited by people we look up to. The flip side of this status-seeking behavior is our desire to avoid actions that might lower our social standing. We maintain our homes and appearances not just for personal satisfaction, but also to avoid negative judgments from our neighbors, friends, and family. The constant underlying question, "What will others think of me?" shapes many of our decisions and actions, often without us even realizing it. The power of social influence on habit formation and behavior change is perfectly illustrated by the story of the Polgar sisters, chess prodigies who achieved remarkable success through dedicated practice. While their individual efforts were undoubtedly crucial, the supportive culture created by their parents and the broader chess community played a significant role in sustaining their motivation and commitment over many years. The sisters' dedication to chess was reinforced not just by parental encouragement, but also by the respect and admiration they received from the chess world. Achieving milestones like becoming grandmasters provided external validation and status, further cementing their identities as exceptional chess players. This combination of internal drive and external recognition created a powerful feedback loop that sustained their intense practice regimen for decades.